Right, okay, so we're going to go through the next section of coursework, which is forms. Okay, so we've all done user requirements. You've done your entity relationship diagram now from your relationship screenshot, your grid, your normalization, and your validation, which we went through last lesson. Okay, now, if you missed that part out for a minute, you get marks for design of your data entry forms, okay, design of a user interface, and then down in implementation, you get lots of marks for your forms themselves. So it's how to build them. Okay. Now, in your Access database, you actually need a form for every table. And it's dead easy to do. So your first step is to create a form for each table you've got. Up in Create, you go to Form Wizard, you pick your first table, so booking for sake of argument, drop everything across, next, next, call it something sensible like form booking, okay, and finish. So I've got the basics of a form. This is in form view, like table view, so I can enter data in it, okay, but it needs to match the image and ethos of my organization. So the first thing I need to do is go to design view, okay, hang on a sec, excuse me, so go to design view. And then I can start to change it around, just like it could be tables, but I've got a bit more control because it's a form. So the first thing I might want to do is make the form a little bit bigger. I can drag that down there, I can drag that across there, it's got a bit of room to work with. So what can I do? Well, if I want to, I can right click and I can change the background of the form, okay, which I could do. But what I probably definitely want to do is put the company logo in. So if I use the design tool up at the top, we go to insert image, there's one I selected earlier, okay, and then I can draw my company logo onto my form. That's my company logo. I need to make it look something like the business I'm doing, okay, so color schemes, you can change fonts if you want, images, that sort of thing. So now I've got my form, but it's still not very usable. Needs to be nice and easy to use. And if you remember when you discussed user interface, when you're doing your write-up at the start, you said you're going to have a menu, button-driven, form-based system. So I need to add some buttons onto this form. And the button tool on the design tab is up at the top, and it's that rectangle with 4 X's in. So I click it, I draw a button in, and I get this little pop-up box. So it says what sort of buttons I want this to be. Well, I'll have go to next record, because I think I'll have next, previous, new, and save. So go to next record, click next. Do you want it to have a picture on so it'll look like that, or do you want it to have some text on so it'll look like that? So I'll have the text, it's easy to see. Okay, you can leave the button name, it doesn't matter too much for ICT, and then click finish. Okay, so when I go back into form view now, okay, if I click that, it takes me to the next record in the table. So I suggest you have next record, okay, I suggest you have exactly previous record, like that. It's dead easy to do this. What I would also have is a new record, so we click on record operations and then add new record. So I'll have an add button, and I'll also have a save button for when I've made a new one. So record operations, save record, next, text, next, and finish. Put whatever you want on, but I think they're a good standard for. Okay, so that's one form done. Now I do this for each one of my forms. Now I'm going to do it for each one, but I'm going to do it for another one because I need to show you that you need to do something as well as making your form. So each one of these tables should have a corresponding form. So create, form wizard, let's say I'll have booking details next, drop everything across, next, next, call it something sensible, and finish. Okay, so I've got another one. Now I would again populate it with relevant images, colour schemes, fonts, and put all my buttons on. Okay, now let's assume I've made a form. So I've got 5 tables, I've got 5 forms. In your assessment calendar, okay, it says create at least 2 forms. You need a form per table, so just do a form per table. And you need a form within a sub-form. So you might think, well, what's that? Well, basically, if you think about it, no, hang on, where's my database gone? Right, if you think about it, when I'm making a booking, your booking details is directly related to the booking table. So ideally, you'd want to see them both on the same screen. So what you can do is, once you've created your booking table, you simply grab your booking details table, left click and hold, and drag it onto your existing form. And then we have, if you look at design view, a form within a form. Okay, and as I move through the records, okay, it updates the record down here. So effectively, I can make an entire booking from one form. So your first step is to create a form for each table, then create a form within a form using your buttons, your colour schemes, your images. Okay, after you've done that, we need to do one more thing, which is creating a calculation, a form or a query. We're going to come back and do that later on in the course, so we're not going to do it at this stage. So after you've made your forms, you've designed them, you've implemented them, what you do in your actual work itself is, after your implementation of your tables and after the implementation of your validation, comes a screenshot of each form in design and form view. Okay, so like your tables are in design and table view, your form in design and form view. Now, once you've made your forms, and you've got all your 5 forms here, and you took all your screenshots, you need to make another form from scratch, and you need to make a main menu, because you have to be menu driven as a system. So if you look at the exemplar, if I can find it, we have a main menu. So we've got a form to take us to every other form, every query, which you don't have yet, every macro and every report. So I think probably the best thing to do, because you'll see this in the exemplar and on the mark scheme, is we'll do the main menu at the end when we've done all the other parts of the system, because you can't really do it yet because you've got nothing to add it to. Once you took all your screenshots, then comes the difficult bit. You have to then move back to your design work, okay, and this is a bit no one's going to enjoy. And after your validation techniques, okay, after this little box that's called password protection, which we'll go through separately in class, we don't need a video for it, comes the effectively hand-drawn design of each form. Okay, it's better to design it after you've built it, otherwise you'll end up designing something you can't build. But this is what takes quite a bit of time. Okay, now bearing in mind we're going to be moving screenshots up and down and inserting work and taking work out, because we're dipping it in and out of different parts as we go along, I suggest you make your form designs in something like PowerPoint. Okay, once you've finished your design, you print screen it and you paste it in as one block into Word. Okay, so it's finish your tables, populate your tables, take your screenshots with your relationship screenshot, then make your forms, one for each table, then a form with a subform, take a screenshot of each form in form and design view, and then go back and create the designs for them. Okay, any questions?